In fact, part of the book actually emerges from a ministry conference I did down in Brandon, Mississippi with the United Methodists. And yeah, so this curriculum has been test driven right down there by the reservoir. So we had a good and faithful time dealing with this stuff. But Stewards is designed to it's designed to be brief. It is just 100 pages. It's a pretty fast read. And the intention is to offer the faithful believer a biblical theology of environmental concern, to step away from the politics, step away from Republican versus Democrat, step away from all of the crazy stuff that gets said on the internet, and ask the question, what does God think about environmental stewardship? What is the character of God on this topic? And if I can find a faithful, systematic message in the text itself about environmental concern, well, I better sit up and pay attention. And that's what I'm up to. The book was inspired by teaching a course at Wheaton College. And let me tell you a little bit about that. It was Kristen Page, who is an endowed chair of biology at Wheaton College. She and I both had a concern for the topic of environmentalism. So we applied for a faith and learning grant. We got some extra money. We were allowed to co-teach. And we had 25 of Wheaton's finest sitting in front of us. And we did this standard icebreaker. Every teacher has deployed this icebreaker at some point in their career. It's just, you're just trying to get class going. And what you do is you say, hey, how about you introduce yourself to the class, tell us what your major is and why you decided to take this course. I mean, hands up, who hasn't been asked that question in a class at some point? So we started going around the circle, and every one of our students, every theologically trained, socially concerned, politically active, biblically committed Wheaton College student said the exact same thing. And what they said was, I have always loved fill in the blank with camping, fly fishing, hiking, rappelling, surfing, watching the dolphins off the Channel Sound, all of these amazing activities that bring us into contact with God's good creation. I've always loved those things. And I've always felt God's presence when I was involved in those things. But I've never understood that I, as a Christian, was allowed to advocate for or publicly love those things. Well, I'm so glad that you're teaching this course. So we got all the way around the circle. Every one of them said the same thing. I looked at Kristen, she looked at me, and we said, yeah, us too. So what's the deal? Why is the church missing in action on this critically important current issue of social concern? And I make the argument in the book that there are three reasons that the church is missing in action. One of them is we've gotten all messed up in our American politics. And we think that if you're going to be pro-life, i.e. a Republican, you cannot also be pro-environment, i.e. a Democrat. And somehow or another, environmental stewardship has gotten pigeonholed over in being a left-wing liberal, yada, yada, yada. And this is not the traditional posture of the Christian community.